Thanks, Terry. It's just before 7:52 now. Last month, a lot of us used credit to bring the holiday cheer home, and now the bills are starting to roll in, which doesn't bring any cheer. But to give some of us an idea how to deal with that is President and CEO of Credit Aid, Brian Denishuk. Morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Now, I know credit, I know aid. When you put it together in your instance, what do you guys provide for people?
We help people. We've been helping Manitobans get out of debt since 1992. So typically, it's a time in people's lives where they don't know where to turn because the financial crunch is there. They've accumulated a lot of unsecured debt. Possibly the creditors are calling. Who do they turn to? The banks typically have said, you can't borrow any more money. Now what do? Who helps them? And that's what we do.
So if we do find ourselves in a position where we can't pay those holiday debts, what is the best thing for us to do?
The first thing you need to do, and naturally the bills are just coming in, people have just gotten through the holiday season and they may not have budgeted. And all of a sudden they realize they have way overspent. The credit cards are at max. What do? They should immediately sit down, prepare a budget, look at their income, look at all of their costs, and see, can they even afford the minimum payments? And if they can't, then they should be calling a credit counseling agency like ours to see if we can provide some assistance.
Yeah, budgeting is something really important, what most people should do. But in today's age, it's so easy to accumulate credit cards. Let's say you have a couple of those. What's the best way to manage your credit cards?
The best way to manage your credit cards is to make sure, one, you're paying them off in full each and every time you get a bill, so that you're not paying interest. If you can't do that, pay more than your minimum payment. Never just pay your minimum payment, because if you look at your credit card statements, it's going to tell it's going to possibly take you 30, 40, 50 years to pay it off. You'll never get out of debt.
How can a credit counselor help if we do find ourselves in a bad debt situation?
When we meet with people, what we do is we do a complete review of their finances. We sit down and we do a very detailed budget. We want to know where every penny is being spent so that we can assess what disposable income is left to address your debt. And if the debt can't be addressed based in the current situation, then we will find a program where we'll work with creditors to get the interest rates virtually turned to zero so you can be debt-free in 5 years. Now, people generally, they want to pay their debt, but oftentimes they just don't know how.
What do you say to people who are in debt? They might want some help, but obviously the service costs some money. They might be shy to come in.
Well, I always tell people, please don't be shy. Come in. There is no cost for your initial consultation. 75% of the people we meet with, we can just provide some good, solid financial advice, send them on their way. Other people will look at possibly putting them on a debt repayment program.
Now, you have an interesting Facebook promotion where you can win an iPad. You want to tell us a little about that?
Absolutely. If you go to our website, there's a section where you can actually click on, and it takes you to our Facebook page. And if you tell us a little bit about your debt resolution, and you'll be able to win an iPad.
All right, and that's creditaid.ca. That's your website.
That is correct.
Now, if we look ahead to next holiday season, is it too early to start budgeting for that, or can you do that anytime?
No, you should start budgeting right away. You should start planning on what you're going to be spending next Christmas on all these gifts. Per person, make a list, and then start putting the money away now on a monthly basis so that when the holiday season arrives, you're already funded.
All right, Brian, thanks a lot for those tips. And if you are in any financial difficulty, you can see creditaid.ca. Right now, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more CTV Morning Live in a minute.